Sometimes you come home after a long day and everything looks normal. Your bag lands by the door. The lights turn on. You sit down for a second, maybe still wearing your shoes. Nothing went wrong today. You answered messages. You showed up. You crossed things off. And yet there's this flat, hollow feeling that settles in once the noise stops. It's confusing, because the day was full. Busy, even. So why does it feel like something is missing? A lot of people quietly wonder about this. Why being productive doesn't always feel satisfying. Why motion doesn't always turn into meaning. Why the emptiness shows up only after everything is done. What you may be experiencing is an emotional gap that busy days can accidentally create. Let's slow this down and look at why that happens, without turning it into a big story about what's wrong. Feeling empty after a busy day doesn't usually mean you failed to enjoy life. It often means your attention was used up before your inner world had a chance to catch up. In simple terms, this kind of emptiness is what shows up when your day is packed with tasks, interactions, and decisions, but very little space to actually register how you're doing while it's happening. One common reason is that busyness can push your awareness outward for hours at a time. You're responding, solving, adjusting, moving on to the next thing. Even neutral tasks take a small amount of emotional energy, especially when they involve people, expectations, or time pressure. By the time the day ends, your mind finally gets quiet, but your emotional system is still waiting to be noticed. So instead of relief, you feel blank. Like the lights are on, but nothing's playing in the background. It can look like sitting on the couch scrolling without interest, or standing in the kitchen unsure what you even want to eat. Not because you're ungrateful or bored, but because you've been externally focused for so long that your inner signals went unanswered. Sometimes, it comes from spending the whole day in reaction mode. Replying to messages. Answering questions. Meeting deadlines that weren't set by you. Even when none of it is dramatic, it still means your attention is shaped by other people's needs. Over time, this trains your system to stay alert and responsive, but not reflective. So when the external demands drop away at night, there's a sudden quiet that feels unfamiliar instead of peaceful. You might notice it when you finally stop moving and feel oddly disconnected from yourself. The day didn't hurt you, but it also didn't include you. There's also a quieter reason that doesn't get talked about much. Busy days can delay emotions rather than remove them. When you stay occupied, feelings don't disappear. They wait. Small disappointments, unspoken tension, tiny moments of pride you didn't pause to feel, they all stack up quietly. When the day ends, your system finally has room to process, but instead of clear emotions, it releases a kind of numbness. Not sadness exactly. Just absence. So you think, why do I feel empty? Nothing bad happened. But the emptiness isn't about something bad. It's about something unacknowledged. It's late, maybe around 9:30. The house is quieter now. You've just finished cleaning up. Your phone buzzes less. You sit down, open an app, then close it. Open another. Close that too. The day was packed. Meetings, errands, small conversations. You handled it all. But now there's this dull, floating feeling in your chest. You're not upset. You're not tired in the usual way. You just feel not full. If you've been there, you're not strange. You might know someone who lives like this. This is what an emotional gap can feel like when it finally shows itself, after everything else is done. It doesn't mean your life lacks meaning. It means meaning didn't get airtime during the motion. There's a small shift that can help make sense of this when it happens. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" try asking, "What didn't get space today?" Not as an interrogation. Just a quiet check-in. Maybe it was a moment where you brushed past frustration because there was no time. Maybe it was satisfaction you didn't let yourself feel because the next task was already waiting. You don't have to unpack it fully. Even naming one overlooked feeling can soften the emptiness, because your system registers that it's been heard. Another gentle way to approach it is to add a small buffer between busyness and rest. Not a routine. Not a rule. Just 5 minutes where you're not consuming, fixing, or planning. You might sit on the edge of the bed. Or stand by a window. No goal, just letting the day land. This works because emptiness often isn't asking for stimulation. It's asking for acknowledgement. And there's one more detail that changes how this whole thing looks. Feeling empty after busy days doesn't mean you need less structure or more excitement. Sometimes it simply means your inner life is quieter than your outer one, and it's waiting to be included. So if you've been ending full days with that hollow feeling, it may not be a personal flaw. It may just be the space where your experience is asking to be felt. This is for people who function well, get things done, and still wonder why the quiet feels strange afterward. You're not missing something obvious. You're noticing something subtle. And noticing it is already a kind of connection.